This is the story of Jesus. A long time ago, in the small town of Bethlehem, a baby was born who would change the world. His name was Jesus. It wasn't easy being born in Bethlehem because King Herod the Cruel wanted to kill every baby boy under 2 years old. That's why Jesus' family had to escape to Egypt. But thankfully, after King Herod died, they were able to return home to live in Nazareth. Jesus wasn't born in a palace, but in a stable surrounded by animals. His mother Mary and her husband Joseph were chosen by God to raise him. From the beginning, people knew Jesus was special. Wise men traveled from far away to bring him gifts, and angels sang of his birth. When Jesus was a boy, he lived a simple life. He played with friends, helped his mother, and worked as a carpenter with his dad Joseph. But when he was about 30 years old, he began to teach, heal, and spread a message of love, forgiveness, and hope. He gathered crowds of people to listen to him teach. Jesus told stories called parables to help people understand God's love. He taught that we should love our neighbors, care for the poor, forgive those who hurt us, and always do what is right. He also performed miracles to show people how powerful God is. He healed the sick, gave sight to the blind, and even raised people from the dead. Everyone loved spending time with Jesus. Crowds followed him everywhere he went. They brought their sick friends and family, and he healed them all. But not everyone was happy about Jesus' growing influence. Some religious leaders felt threatened and wanted to stop him, so they made plans to trick him or cause trouble whenever he could. Now, as Jesus traveled throughout the towns, people cheered for him. "Save us, Jesus," they shouted, but the religious leaders stayed hidden, waiting for the perfect chance to harm him. And then one day Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey. The people welcomed him like a king, and he looked like one too. He wore a robe made of fine material. People rode on donkeys, elephants, and horses. They shouted and waved as he passed by. The religious leaders didn't like seeing all these people cheering for Jesus. They went into the temple and started talking about how Jesus claimed to be the Messiah, but he broke Jewish law by riding a donkey instead of a red heifer. Then one of Jesus' disciples said, "Look, there's a red heifer over there." Jesus smiled. "I know why they want me to ride it," he told his disciples. "They want me to break the law so they can accuse me of sin, but I'm not going to let them." That night, Jesus and his disciples went to a place called Bethany. Across the valley was Jerusalem, where the religious leaders were meeting. When Jesus arrived, he noticed a crowd gathered around a man named Lazarus. Jesus had been friends with Lazarus, but a few days earlier, Lazarus had become very sick. His sisters sent word to Jesus asking him to come and help, but Jesus waited. Now he was watching to see if God would use Lazarus to perform a miracle. When he finally decided to go to Bethany, Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. His body was wrapped in burial cloths, and they had put him in a tomb. As Jesus approached the crowd, they pointed to the tomb and said, "Rabbi, he has already smelled, because he has been dead for 4 days." Jesus told them, "Take away the stone." Martha, Lazarus' sister, said, "Leave it, Lord. It has already begun to smell." Martha was worried about what people would say because it wasn't proper to open a tomb once it had been sealed. But Jesus told her, "Didn't I tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" Then he said to the crowd, "Lazarus, come out." Everyone was shocked when Lazarus came out of the tomb. They praised God and thanked Jesus for raising his friend from the dead. But the religious leaders were frightened. "We also want to do a sign," they said. "Why doesn't he let us do a miracle?" Jesus told them, "If anyone loves me, he will obey my teaching. And my Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our home with him. Anyone who does not love me will not obey my teaching, and the words you hear are not truly from him. He who speaks on his own is seeking his own will and is not receiving from the Father." As the feast of Passover approached, people got ready to celebrate the freedom of the Israelites from slavery in Egypt. Every year, families would travel to Jerusalem to attend the celebration. This time, millions of people would be there, and Jesus planned to be one of them. But first, he stopped at Bethany to visit Lazarus, who was so happy to see Jesus again that he gave him a big dinner party. Two other friends of Jesus, Simon the leper and another man whose name wasn't recorded, also attended the party. About halfway through the meal, a woman entered the house. She wasn't invited, but she was desperate to speak with Jesus. She stood at the door listening to him talk. When she heard him say, "Whoever has this holy faith in me will do the works I tell you," she walked in and poured fragrant oil over his feet. After the dinner, Simon and the other man talked to Jesus about how he had done a lot of bad things in his life. But Jesus still chose to be friends with him. "Simon," Jesus asked, "do you love me?" "Yes, Lord," he replied. "Do these things for me, and you will be my friend." Jesus told him, "You won't have to work hard to earn my friendship, Simon. You'll have to work hard to earn your salvation. Once you trust me, you'll receive God's forgiveness. When you do that, you will know you are my friend." Then Jesus turned to the woman who had poured oil on his feet and said, "Simon has been baptized with water, but I have something better to baptize you with. I want to wash your feet and dry them so you can be clean and pure, for I have saved you from your sins." As the week continued, more people gathered together to celebrate Passover. Many of Jesus' followers met him in a place called the Upper Room. During the Passover meal, Jesus took bread, gave thanks to God, broke it and said, "This is my body. Eat this bread, for it means that I will give my life for you." Later, Jesus took a cup of wine, gave thanks to God and said, "Drink from it, all of you. This cup represents the new agreement between God and humanity. You will drink it in my honor until I return." After they ate, Jesus told his disciples, "One of you will betray me." And they were deeply saddened to hear this. "Who is it who will betray you?" they asked. Jesus said, "The one who dipped his bread into the same bowl as I did will betray me. It is the Son of Man who will be betrayed. But I am sorry that I must leave this earth. I really want to stay with you. However, I must do what my Father commanded me to do." Afterward, Jesus told his disciples that they would all be persecuted for following him. And Peter spoke up. "Hey, Rabbi," he said, "we're willing to go to prison for you. We will gladly suffer persecution for you." Jesus replied, "I have the power to give my life and take it away again. This is what my Father has appointed for me to do." Then Jesus told them, "Gentiles will rule over Israel, and Jewish leaders will fall and be killed by pagans. Everyone will hate you because you are my followers, but whoever stands firm to the end will be saved. That is how you will know that you are my disciples. You will love one another." At that moment, Judas arrived with soldiers and temple guards. "Which one of you will betray the innocent Son of Man?" Jesus asked. And when Judas saw that Jesus knew everything, he felt guilty. He tried to return the 30 pieces of silver, but Jesus told him, "No, you must spend that money to help others." Judas went outside to meet the soldiers and officers and pointed to Jesus. "Hey, this is the guy. Arrest him," he said. "This is Jesus, the man of Nazareth." Then Jesus said, "Wait, why have you come to arrest me? I haven't done anything wrong." But they ignored him and tied him up. On the way to the courthouse, Jesus stumbled and fell. A man named Simon from Cyrene helped pick up Jesus' robe and walk behind him. Soldiers forced Jesus to carry a wooden crossbeam, while people from all over town shouted, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Finally, they brought Jesus to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. They nailed his hands and feet to the cross and raised it up. As Jesus hung on the cross, people stood around and watched. They shouted insults and threw dice over who would get his robe. But during all this, Jesus prayed for the people persecuting him. "Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing." After Jesus had suffered and cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" he closed his eyes and died. Some people believed Jesus was a great teacher, but now they wondered if they had been wrong. They realized the Messiah hadn't come to be crucified on a cross. 3 hours after Jesus died, the ground shook and the sky grew dark. A loud voice boomed, "The Messiah has risen from the dead." Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome went to the tomb early in the morning to roll the stone away and anoint Jesus' body. When they arrived, they saw that the stone had already been moved, and an angel sat on it. The women were afraid until the angel said, "Don't be afraid. I know you're looking for Jesus, who was crucified, but he isn't here because he has risen from the dead. Come, look inside the tomb. He is lying there." Then the angel said, "Go quickly and tell his disciples, he has risen from the dead. He has risen from the dead," the angel repeated. "And he is coming soon to the town of Galilee, where he told them to meet him. That's where they will see him." After the women ran away, 2 men stood near the tomb, talking about what had happened. They were confused because they hadn't seen the angel or the risen Jesus. Then suddenly Jesus stood in front of them and asked, "Why are you looking among the dead for the living Messiah? The living Messiah, he isn't here, he has risen. Remember what he told you while he was still in Galilee, saying the Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men and be crucified and rise again on the 3rd day." Then they remembered Jesus' words and became excited. They fell to their knees and worshipped him. Jesus told them, "Go quickly and tell my disciples, I'm returning to heaven to be with my Father. And you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, throughout Judea and in Samaria, and even to the ends of the earth." After that, Jesus was taken up into a cloud, and the men fell down and worshipped him. For 40 days, Jesus appeared to more than 500 people, showing them that death had no power over him. He forgave those who had turned against him and promised his followers that he would always be with them. And he showed them the scars in his hands and feet, the marks left by the nails that held him to the cross. Then one day, Jesus was with his disciples on the shore of the Sea of Galilee. He invited them to have breakfast with him. After they had eaten, Jesus told Peter, "Do you love me more than these men did?" Peter replied, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my lambs." He asked Peter a second time, "Do you love me, Simon?" "Yes, Lord," Peter replied, "you know that I love you." Jesus said, "Take care of my sheep." He asked Peter a third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was upset that Jesus had asked him 3 times and said, "Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus replied, "Feed my sheep. I tell you the truth. When you were younger, you dressed yourself and went where you wanted to go. But when you grow old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will dress you and lead you where you don't want to go." Jesus was explaining how Peter would die. Then Peter turned and saw the disciple whom Jesus loved, who had leaned against Jesus during the Last Supper. Peter asked, "Rabbi, who is going to betray us?" He wasn't talking about Judas, who had already betrayed Jesus. Peter asked Jesus, "Who is going to betray us?" Jesus said, "The one you dip your bread with." And then Peter understood that Jesus was talking about himself, and he left the breakfast in sadness. Jesus then told his disciples, "This is the time for you to go into all the world and share the good news with everyone." Then Jesus returned to heaven, but before he left, he gave one last message: love one another, go into all the world and share this good news. And that's the story of Jesus, a story of love, sacrifice, and eternal hope.